Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome back out to Giga-Texas. Another brilliant day to fly and a lot of activity going on today. You'll see in the video a couple of things for the introduction that I'd like to talk about before we get into the drone flight. First of all, they've been doing a lot of work on the north end of the factory to try to get a handle on the management of all of the castings that have been produced. Now in the past we've seen them kind of strewn all around the main factory building itself, sometimes on the ground, sometimes in rack mounts. And over the last week they have kind of reconfigured the north parking lot into a casting, staging, and kind of sorting lot. And today with this short clip you get a good view of how active it is and how they are using this new site. There are a lot of castings, both for Model Ys and for Cybertrucks. Some of them are marked as untrimmed, some of them are trimmed, and that's because there's a milling process that is involved once they take the castings out of the Giga presses and prepare them for production. They've also added a line of kind of marked off spaces for more of the castings along the east side of the casting machine structure, part of the factory along the berm. I know this is a long-term project that they've been really trying to get going, and it looks like at least now they have a much better system. Another thing that I do want to talk about is down on the southeast side, that cooling plant that serves the Cortex Supercomputer. A lot of people have asked, is it operational yet? Are the fans working? Well, as you can see by this short clip, they are indeed working, at least two of them. And this is a great sign, not only that the cooling plant itself is getting ready for operation, but also it gives us an insight into what's going on with the Cortex Supercomputer. Now, one other thing that I do want to address here, I did a video yesterday with a friend of mine. He picked up one of the first non-foundation Cybertrucks that also got full self-driving transferred. I take the opportunity to ask him about the purchase process, the importance of the transfer of the full self-driving, and I take advantage of the fact that we have both my foundation series and his non-foundation series to kind of give a comparison, go through the vehicles, and talk about some of the differences between these two series of the Cybertrucks and what you can expect if you buy a non-foundation series. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of differences with the vehicles. It mostly comes down to the kind of accessories that you would like to take. Now, I did mention that full self-driving is now transferable to the Cybertruck. Tesla has added that very recently to match with the rest of the sexy lineup. So now between today and the end of the fourth quarter, so 31 December of this year, you can trade in or sell your vehicle and have that FSD transferred even to Cybertrucks, which is a great deal. Finally, later today is the third quarter financial results meeting. It'll be held right here at Giga-Texas. Starts at 4:30 Central Standard Time here in Texas. That would be 21:30 UTC. And you can go to the Tesla IR website so that you can participate with the live stream and hear what's going on. So without further ado, that's a lot to see in the drone today. So we'll get it in the air and fly around and take a look at Giga-Texas on this Wednesday. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your support. Have a great week.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Good morning from the southeast side of Giga-Texas, taking a look at that multi-level parking garage, the east parking lot. and that remaining natural pond next to the line pond on the center of the screen. As I maneuver the drone around, a great look at downtown Austin gleaming in the early morning sun as the sun is just coming up over the horizon. There's a lot of developments on the south end of the building that I want to show you, but first, let's take a quick tour over towards the parking garage where we see those privacy fences are still up on that east side ground floor. I've had some Patreons and viewers ask if this garage is being used for parking, and it is. A lot of cars are in the inside. We don't see much on the roof right now, but it is in fact being used by employees in addition to being used by Tesla for some product development on that ground floor east side. Now, as we continue to fly along the north part of the parking garage and get closer to the building, I'll give you a look at the walkways that are continuing to be constructed in the dirt median underneath the power lines. Some of it has had the concrete poured, some of it has the rebar and the forms. You can see how it continues to extend into the next median on the right-hand side of the screen. Also, many Cybertrucks lined up in the old testing and calibration lot. Again, this is where they are held temporarily until they have the final details, whatever those may be, are completed, and then they move it over to the west side outbound lot. I'm going to fly to the south along this to east side of the factory between the parking garage and the factory itself. On the right-hand side of the screen in the factory is the body in white, and then next to that tall temporary platform on the right-hand side of the screen is where the stamping machine structure is located. On the middle of the screen, on the ground next to the road, is that natural gas pipeline. This is an addition and or a upgrade to what is going on at this part of the site. As I mentioned before, this is not related to the power plant natural gas pipeline that was installed on the west side of the highway. That work is pretty much completed, as you'll see later in the video. But one of the other things that I want to show you is that they continue to work on the cooling tower, and that kind of that excavation that goes underneath the road in the middle of the screen. And over to that cooling tower is where they are taking some of the water that they've been cleaning out the pipes and putting it into the line pond. The other thing I want to show you as I bring the drone up higher altitude is some of the fans are actually in operation today. And from the north to the south, it would be the second and fourth. The riser pipes on the other side of the tower in these areas have been installed. So it's possible that this is either a test or it may be showing that some of the Cortex Supercomputer may be being operational or at least tested out. Either way, it is great to see that these fans are now starting to be operational, and that signals that this cooling plant is also getting ready to be operational, which is necessary for that supercomputer cluster to operate and train the full self-driving and also the Optimus robot, which according to Elon Musk and Tesla is the purpose of the Cortex Supercomputer here at Giga-Texas. A couple other details that you can see on the ground are some white rack mounts kind of right underneath the power lines. On the right-hand side of the screen inside the extension, as I bring the drone down, it's easier to see. There are some white and red pipes and pumps on the second floor next to where that man lift is working, and some additional work going on inside. Also can tell that there is a blue temporary wall with scaffolding being installed next to those tanks on the right-hand side of the screen. The temporary platform has been removed. That's the dirt on the right-hand bottom of the screen. On the left, the concrete in that new slab has been poured, and that kind of triangular shape is most likely going to be paving once that is completed. A great look at the pipes on the bottom floor of the cooling plant, and also where some manifolds will be eventually connected. So that maybe indicates that it's more of a test than the supercomputer cluster operational, but in any case, they are making progress. As I bring the drone down here between the power lines and the extension, I'll maneuver so you get some nice views inside. On the second floor, a great look at all of the equipment that has been lined up behind the glass wall. Also, some of the possible ventilation equipment on that second floor in between the interior walls. On the ground floor, that interior structure is where the Cortex Supercomputer is located. We can also see that the work on this ramp next to the perimeter grade beam is continuing. This was reworked here recently, and the formwork for some repairs and upgrades of that perimeter grade beam appear to be completed as well. Here's another low altitude view of the cooling plant and the work that is going on at the ground level. I pulled away to give you a look at this south glass wall. Also with the lighting, you can see inside to some extent. On the ground, the preparation for the road on the top of the terrace looks like it's mostly completed, and also preparation work on the middle terrace for the sidewalks that will connect these emergency exit tunnels and allow a walkway for the employees. Again, those small white pipes that you see next to each of the tunnels is part of the roof drainage system, and it will drain out through this area and next to the cyber pond. I'm kind of expecting to see riprap, which is kind of like broken up rock along the lower terraced level, but we'll have to see if that is in fact the case. As I wrap around the southwest corner of the building, a lot of the deliveries and the crates of all of these CDEC glass is ready for installation. In fact, some of it is already being installed on this west side. As I mentioned before, these glass pieces are enormous as far as size. Also, they are multi-tons each. And to lift them, they have this yellow lifting jig in the middle of the screen. Has a lot of suction cups. And believe it or not, that is what picks up these giant pieces of glass, maneuvers them, and then places them into the mounting rack system, those black kind of trim pieces that you see along the perimeter grade beam and that second floor beam. And that is what attaches them to the building. So as you can tell, a lot of the glass is still waiting for installation. At the rate that they are going, it would not surprise me if in a couple weeks this entire west side is completed. Near this temporary platform and the exit point for the Cybertrucks, more of the trench work, also with the concrete vaults. And as I turn back towards the main building, some views inside. And again, the kind of the trim pieces, those black trim pieces for the glass, and where those are located shows you where the glass is certainly going to be installed here soon, and then we'll see the smaller pieces installed later on and completing this side. As I come up to the roof, just a quick look at the kind of darker gray installation panels that is over the Cortex Supercomputer and the cooling system of this south end, also some of the cables that will be powering that supercomputer cluster. As we cross over the cyber pond, I'll turn the drone back and give you a view of the main factory from this perspective, and then we'll proceed over to the South Bridge and cross over, and I'll resume the narration on the other side of the highway. Great views of the conduit and trenching on the south side of the River Road, and also a great look of downtown Austin in the top center of the screen. Now, a couple of things that I noticed in this large triangular material staging yard is again, the number of steel items that have been stockpiled here at the center bottom of the screen. On the center top of the screen, some of that steel has already been used. More of the corrugated steel pipe on the bottom for drainage system. And here is the 84 transformers that have been stored on this side. Again, these are normally used for battery backup and solar panels, as opposed to the other transformers, which I'll show you later, that are for a slightly different purpose. It's also a great look at this entire clearing where they continue to take some dirt out, removes the last bits of the hills, and possibly replace this pond. And you can also tell that the grade is much lower than the tree-lined area around the north and west sides of that clearing. I did notice some interesting developments here at this material staging yard that I want to show you. First, in the center right of the screen, the earthwork is continuing to widen this area, also to reshape the berm at the water detention pond. The blue and white items and some of the pipes here have had some activity for the first time in about a year. You can also see some of the crews beginning to unwrap some of these items. Now, here's a good close-up view, and we can see what appears to be red platens on the kind of the center left of the screen underneath those blue tarps. And we can also see the large pieces of equipment that they are unwrapping right now. And I'll continue to maneuver the drone so you can get some different perspectives of this equipment. On the left-hand side of the completely unwrapped equipment, it looks like there's some sort of a funnel or collector system. And here's another close-in view, also with the people there to give you a sense of scale. And it's great to see all of this equipment starting to be unwrapped. I'm not 100% sure what it is for or where it's going into the factory. If you happen to know, please let me know in the comments section of the video. I would very much appreciate it. Some other items are being unloaded from that truck. These silver wrapped items still waiting for installation. And the pipe segments with the liners are what's going to the baghouse filtration plant on the east side of the casting machine structure. More deliveries of the white platform items. And as I mentioned, more of these transformers. I think there's now 84 of them, maybe 90 of them here. And these are slightly different than the other ones that we saw on the south end. The outbound lot is busy today. A lot of Cybertrucks, some of the Model Ys. We do not see any of the covered transport trucks on the center of the screen here on this part, where we have been seeing those being used to take Cybertrucks away, possibly to Mexico. But otherwise, it looks reasonably busy at the outbound lot. As we cross over the West Warehouse on Wheels, we see some of those Forza trucks that have been used for covered transport of the Cybertrucks. And also on the ground, we see some of the road surface panels lined up, ready to be installed into the Boring Company tunnel. The dirt work here, it's all cleared and leveled off, is where the natural gas pipeline and the horizontal drilling took place. Pretty much all of this entire section along the west side or the east side of this west outbound lot looks like it's completed. And they are making brickwork on the natural gas pipeline installation. We do see work near the end of the tunnel with some of the conduit, and also one of those road surface panels, this time with a inspection hole, is getting ready to be moved into the tunnel. And those inspection holes are used because it allows crews to access the pipes and the drainage system that would be underneath those road surface panels if that is maintenance required. Another good look at the facing part of the tunnel. As we've talked about, all of the road surface panels that they originally installed have been removed, and now they're installing these replacements that have been reworked and re-verified over at the Bastrop site. As I continue to maneuver the drone towards the end-of-line facility, I'll stop here and let you see the activity at the superchargers. And again, a good mix of Model Ys and the Cybertrucks here today. The test track is very busy here on the west side of the end-of-line facility, and I'll give you a look at the north part of the outbound lot, where we see more of the Cybertrucks being temporarily stored until they are ready for their pickup. And I thought because they're lined up like this here, I'll give you a zoom in and we'll fly along the length of the Cybertrucks and kind of get a good look at all of these lined up. And I know some people will ask why aren't they lined up exactly bumper to bumper so it's perfectly in line. It's just the way it goes. They are moving these so quickly that it's more important to be able to have access to them and then move them to the end of the line as quickly as possible rather than getting them perfectly lined up. This is a great look across the dirt section to that material staging yard up on the north side of this part of the site. And as I maneuver the drone over the end-of-line facility, we can see a large group of Cybertrucks just arriving, getting in line, and being prepared for processing through the facility. Once this is completed and they supercharge, they'll go to the outbound lot to be picked up by the transport trucks. As I turn back to the north, there's some more look at where the natural gas pipeline and some of the equipment on the left that was used to install it. Again, pretty much all of the trenches are being filled in, and most of the work now is on that north terminal, which I will show you at another time in a different video. So let's get ready to cross over the highway and we'll resume on the other side. Work continues at the base of the flagpoles. We see those three kind of finishing rings, and those are going to be placed where that worker is currently finishing up the concrete base, and that will finish the installation of the flagpoles. This area with the two black ramps is where the Model Ys exit the factory. They're lined up here and then driven over to the outbound lot. Not a lot of activity with the Model Ys at this point in time that I was flying. It's possible that they were all moved over to the outbound lot and the drivers are on their way back. As we fly up to the north along the west side of the factory, I'm going to stop here at this clearing. More work on that what will be a staircase next to the three doors in the center of the screen. You can see some form work, kind of a retaining wall being set up and getting ready for concrete. Perhaps some of the concrete's already been poured. And with the dirt there and that retaining wall, we should see some of the rebar being placed for those stairs. Not a lot of recycling for the battery cell cans today in those blue bins. And then at the northwest corner, I still don't see a tank where we see the mounts and those bollards that have been installed. On the center top of the screen, we also see more of that fiber optic cable and the crews that have been running that on the west side of the berm and up to the cyber berms in the north where the Tesla Road intersection is. This is a look at the ductwork and the ducted fans on top of the 4680 cell production section of the building. And for the most part, it looks like the installation is completed. They just need to do some final cleanup and a few other parts to be installed, but otherwise that looks like it's mostly done. Here's a great look at the crews and that fiber optic cable and flexible conduit. And you see some spools of cabling there as well. Most of the trench work along here, it looks like it has been filled in. On the north part of the 4680 battery cell production part of the factory, not a lot on the ground today. Most of the equipment we saw in my previous video that was delivered has been moved inside. And along the north part of the paint shop, we do see some of these rack systems on the ground that's usually used to maneuver some of the bodies in white through the paint system. As I pull away, I wanted to give you a really good look at this new casting, sorting, and management lot. And today we see that it is being filled up with a lot of castings. These are the Cybertruck castings on the right-hand side of the screen, and some more here in the middle of the screen. These look like they're forward underbodies. These are all trimmed and milled, which means that they're ready for production of vehicles. And on the left-hand side, these are untrimmed, and these are waiting for that milling process. And we see a lot of the rack mounts here as well. And with the way that they're lined up within the lines, this gives you an idea of how they are using this system to better manage and store temporarily the castings after they come out of the casting machine structure. More of the rack mounts here, and some of them are filled with Cybertrucks in the middle of the screen. I'm not sure if they're going to be using this for more of the racks here as well, but we do see on the ground more of the painted lines, and now with the words untrimmed forward underbody and rear underbody along the entire northeast and east side next to the berm. So we have an idea that more of the overflow of the castings will be managed along this side. The steel structure that goes over the receiving doors and that blast wall is getting more and more of the roof decking, some of the wall decking as well. Good look at that blast door through the open roof at the moment. It looks like there may be some formwork just inside some of the receiving doors. And of course, the baghouse plant continues to have the pipes, and I showed you earlier some of the pipe segments with those liners, and that's what's being installed along this part of the baghouse plant and connecting it into the casting machine building as well. I'll pull away and give you an overall view of that baghouse plant, that covered structure and some of the walls over those receiving doors, and on the ground the aligned markings for the castings as part of that new management system. And of course that north parking lot, and you can see how full that is on the left hand side of the screen. So I'm going to proceed over to the electrical switch yard and let's take a look at some of the activity here today. The slab and the catch basin with the grates has been completed for the third transformer. That protection wall between the transformers still has not been completed, and it looks like there some work here next to the slab for the V-type circuit breakers and some of the footings for some of the steel items. But without the transformer and without some additional items that have been delivered, no real progress since my last video here. I'll continue to watch and see if we can get those deliveries, and that'll give us an idea when that's going to continue. So I'm going to fly across the site, and we're going to go up to the very far northeast and take a look at some of the parts of the site I don't show you all that often. It's a great look back to the main factory and gives you an idea of just how far away we are. We're about a mile, mile and a half, which is probably about 4 or 5 kilometers from the actual main building as well. And this is where we find this material staging yard. A lot of these red items and also white items. These are platforms and other components that are used for the production lines. And this large field gives you an idea of just how much material is being stored here. We also see some casting rack mounts in the upper right-hand side of the screen. And with that vehicle moving, there is some activity up here today. As I maneuver back to the east side, this is the rental equipment lot, also where they do maintenance. It's also a great view all the way back to the factory across the battery cathode plant. You can also see the multi-level parking garage in the far distance. This hopefully gives you an idea of just how far I have flown with the drone. But this is what this material, or the equipment lot and maintenance facilities look like here today. I also note that there are some dump trucks carrying dirt through this area, plus this clearing, and it looks like there is at least activity farther behind the drone that may be related to either some pipe work that's being installed or maybe preparation for the new Harold Green Road that will eventually run through this area. But not a lot of work that I noticed warranted me to go up farther to the north. What we do see here is some of the concrete that was cut up and removed from the south side of the factory before the extension was built. This will all be recycled. Some additional equipment here, that large stainless steel tube, and also the bridge crane items still waiting for their turn to be installed. You can see those dump trucks heading back up to the north, and it looks like they are taking dirt that way. So it's being excavated somewhere around the south part. I didn't get a chance to see that today, and some of the dirt's being moved to the north. All of these items in the fenced-off section is that equipment that was delivered a few weeks ago. It's being unpacked and installed in the cathode plant, and that's part of the cathode manufacturing process. The temporary platform and the opening to the third floor, they've been using this for equipment to be transferred inside. And of course, the chiller plant itself with some of that augmentation. Looks like at least 3 of the 4 fans are working, so some of it is operational, although I do not see any of the vaporizers with any of the frost on it, so probably not being used for cryogenics right now. As I cross over the battery cathode plant and come down in altitude, it's a quick look at the crash test facility and some of the crash tested vehicles. They are using that new privacy fence as the way to segregate the crash testing away from the battery cathode plant and the operations there. So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude, give you a great view from the east to the west across much of the east side and to the main factory. Again, I hope that you enjoyed what we talked about in the intro and throughout the video. And good luck to Tesla with your third quarter financial results today. Take care.